A winter storm strikes, and well, you want to stay warm, you want to have some lights, you want to do some cooking. We're going to tell you how to do all that and do it in a frugal way. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. This is part 2 of a 2-part series on winter storm power outages and how you really deal with that as a frugal person and how you make sure that you are prepared in the event that something happens that unexpectedly you don't have any power. Now, you may hear a little bit of humming in the background of the program, and there's a reason for that. We actually did something super special for you guys. Larry's going to tell you.
Well, you remember on last week's video, and we'll have that linked down in our description, where we talked about a portable electricity supply, power supply kit. And in that kit, I had a 35 ampere hour battery and an inverter. And there's also a battery charger that we use to charge the system. Well, today we are running the entire set off of that one battery. So we have 4 lights, 4 studio lights, and the camera, and that uses a total of 140 watts. And the battery will supply, a 35 amp per hour battery will supply 420 watt hours. That means 420 watts per hour. That's quite a bit. My inverter is only a 300 watt inverter, so I won't even get to that full amount. So what we're running today will run us for 3 solid hours on our setup.
Okay, so what we really want to tell you guys is we're showing you how the stuff that we're showing you really works.
It works. We can use it.
Okay, part 1, we really covered in depth how to supply power and how to supply heat to your home. So we wanted to cover some of the other bases today in this program. We're going to tell you how to keep warm, keep your pipes from freezing, keep the lights on, and some miscellaneous stuff at the end. We're going to show you some products that we have and that we really use and we really like, and there are going to be links to those products in the description of the video.
Well, let's talk about keeping warm.
Let's talk about keeping warm.
All right. So one of the things that's recommended by many sites, such as the Red Cross site, is you want to layer your clothing. That means you want to put on like underclothing, outer clothing, and maybe over that a sweater. You may even want to wear a jacket over that. And one of the most important parts of clothing is
long underwear.
Yes.
Guys, it's a thin layer, but it is mighty and powerful. And it really will make a difference in helping you to stay warm. Anybody else out there with us? Because we think that long underwear works really, really great for that extra layer.
It does. I wear a pair all winter long while it's cold. Yeah.
All right. Now, another way to keep warm is to make sure that you are compartmentalizing in your home where you are doing all of your living. Because remember, your electricity is out, so you don't have a furnace running for the most part. Most likely you don't. And so you want to cordon off an area that you are going to do all your hanging out in, all of your living in. Now, we did this in our old home. We didn't really have an area that was super easy to isolate from the rest of the house. So we hung a heavy blanket over a door frame in order to isolate the part of the house that we wanted to do our living in. And it works great, guys. So
that way we had our living room and dining room cordoned off from the bedrooms, the hallway, and the bathroom.
Yep. So if you don't have an area of your house that has a door that you can physically shut, just hang a blanket over that doorway and it works great. Now, let's just say that you're like, it's really cold in here. What else can I do? Here's something else. If you have a tent?
Well, we are campers. We haven't camped in a while.
I know.
But I have a 2-man north face tent. And Hope and I, at least, could stay warm by doing this. You pitch your tent in your living room or a large room, maybe a family room. You got to have a room of pretty good size. It all depends on the size of your tent. And inside the tent, you create kind of a little atmosphere where you can stay warm. You want to put your sleeping bags in there. You can even use a candle lantern. They make 4 it's a candle lantern that uses 4 candles. It will actually keep that small space pretty warm inside your house. And remember, in your house, you're not going to have any wind, so it's a little easier to keep that small area warm.
And there's one more way that you can really, really stay warm. Larry and I have these and they work, let me tell you, really, really great. We have used them up in the mountains at high altitude and they work fantastic. And that is,
Of course, sleeping bags.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go backpacking up in the mountains of Colorado. I would backpack up above 12,000 feet elevation, and it gets very cold. Even in the summertime, it'll be just a little above freezing by morning. I found out the hard way that I needed a winter type sleeping bag, and I bought a North Face zero rated bag that will keep me plenty warm. And it's a fiber bag. It's not a down-filled bag. So it's a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to pack. And Hope has a Windy Pass bag. It's also zero rated. So those bags are very warm and they would keep us toasty through the night without power.
now the rating on a sleeping bag, in case you're wondering, that rating of 0, that's the temperature that it will keep you warm down to. So it will keep you warm down to 0 degrees. There are lighter weight sleeping bags that are really designed for less intensive camping, and they're like rated 30. So they'll keep you warm down to about 30 degrees. Now, even in this situation, I think we would recommend getting the bags that are they're a little more expensive, guys, but boy, they will keep you warm.
And remember, we're talking about Fahrenheit degrees, not Celsius.
That's a great point. We do have a lot of viewers overseas. Y'all, we're talking about Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
right?
so we'll put the
In case you're like, holy cow.
I'll put the conversion numbers up so that we have that in Celsius as well.
All right, let's talk about dealing with water and freezing pipes.
Yeah, freezing pipes can be an issue once you've run out of power. If you know you're going to be without power for quite a lengthy time, the first thing you want to do is shut your water off and then go to your top floor and open up those faucets and let that water run, and then go to your next floor down and open those up. And then if you have a basement, open those up as well. It'll end up all draining out into the basement, and that way you've cleared your pipes of water. They will not freeze.
Right. Now, the reason they start at the top is because we're working with gravity here, right? So you want to start at the top of your house and work your way down to the lowest level. So if you have a basement, then you're going to drain those water pipes last. Now, will this keep their pipes from freezing? Maybe not, but it will minimize the damage if your pipes do freeze. Here's what a lot of people don't realize, that if that exterior temperature is 20 degrees or below for a period of time of 6 to 8 hours at a time, then you run the risk. That's all it really takes. Now, if you're not going to drain your pipes, or you can't drain your pipes, then the other thing you can do is what your grandma and your mama always told you to do, guys. They were absolutely right. Open the cabinet doors and have a thin stream of water running from each of the faucets. And that really does help to keep the water moving through the pipes so that they have less of a chance of freezing.
And if you have some storage containers that you can monitor and you can put some of that water in storage and save it, that would be a good thing to do too, as long as you're running a small stream of water. That way you're not wasting all of it.
And speaking of water, if you're going to be without water, if you have a well, then your pump is not going to work if there's no electricity to that. So you want to make sure that if there's a winter storm coming and you know that you may lose power, go ahead, fill up some containers, make sure that you have some bottled water on hand, fill up the bathtub, fill up the sink, fill up whatever you can in order to have some water on hand.
Another way to cope with water, the Red Cross recommends 1 gallon of water per person per day. And you can store a certain amount of water in your home. Now, we don't do a lot of storage of water. We're not really what I would call hardcore preppers, but that is what they recommend. Another way to have water on hand is to have a water filtration system. And we just recently purchased one. It'll hold 2 gallons of water. You put the water in the top. It works like a Berkey. And it takes several hours for it to filter out and get into the lower container where there's a water spigot. But that will take like river water, lake water, and make that drinkable water. You can even collect snow and melt that and run that through a system like that and have purified water. Of course, water is the number one ingredient that we need to live by.
Now, remember, one of the things we always talk about on this channel is the fact that being frugal does not equate to buying really cheap things. We buy quality things. So this is not terribly inexpensive. This water filtration system was not, but it is really high quality, and we've been super, super happy with it. And we'll make sure there's a link in the video description so y'all can take a look at that.
Okay, so now let's move on to lights. There's several different ways that you can supply lights. And I had my flashlight on the table and I just had to use it. Actually, we're having an issue with our furnace right now.
It's not working, guys.
So we're having to use our backup kerosene heaters.
This is so upsetting. It's okay. They're going to get it fixed. It's all good.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we're getting to experience some of the things we taught on our video last week.
It was just like some weird, I don't know if this was like karma or what, but we got ready to do the video and Larry was like, I don't think the furnace is working. I'm like, are you kidding me? So guys, really, our furnace is not working. We have electricity, but we don't have a furnace.
Yeah. So this is a light that I recently purchased off of Amazon, and I'm very happy with it. It's an LE brand, and it's a model S1000. This light is 1000 lumens, and it has just a simple on-off button on the back. And you have 3 different light settings. That's the full 1000. And then this is the 400 setting. And then it goes down to a flasher and then a strobe setting, which I don't really use. And then you can aim it. You can make it a spotlight or a general light. It'll go to a real wide setting. And this puts out a lot of light. What I really like about it, it has an 18650 battery that can be removed, and you can replace that with another battery fully charged and keep the light going for a long time. It runs 3 hours on full light per charge.
Yeah, we're huge on having a few small flashlights around the house where you always know where they're at. And that's the thing with emergencies, is figuring out ahead of time where stuff is going to be located and make sure that it stays in that location. Because if the lights go out, you want to know where to find the nearest flashlight. Another thing that we have around the house, and we love these are so inexpensive, guys, and yet so very, very handy. Look, it looks like a light switch, not so. This is actually a small portable emergency light. You can hang it. It's got hooks on the back. You can either hang it directly onto your wall, or it has like these little sticky things. You can like stick it to a surface and it'll stay there. And it works just like a regular, oh God, it didn't come on. I didn't put it on all the way. It wasn't me. Well, it works like a regular light switch.
Yeah, that's pretty bright too. And we use those in our bathrooms. It lights up the room just enough to see what you need in order to, have some light to see your pathway.
You can get like a 6-pack of them on Amazon. Super, super cheap.
Oh yeah,
really
good
buy.
Hey, let me mention one more thing I forgot to mention on the LE light here. The way that you charge this is, now you can leave the battery in here to charge it. It has a micro USB port inside that you just hook that directly up to, and it comes with the cable for that. So you can charge this off of your computer using the USB, or you can use a wall-mounted brick to charge that. And it will take about, maybe 4 to 5 hours to charge. So very handy light. If a storm's coming, you want to make sure this is charged up before it comes.
All right, Larry, let's tell them about this really great little lantern here, because we just recently got this a few weeks ago and we absolutely love it.
Yeah, this is a Tough Light brand lantern sold on Amazon. And I think it's one of the nicest lanterns. It's very well made, well constructed. It's designed to be dropped from about 6 feet onto a concrete without any possible damage to it. It has real good light output. Now it's running on the medium setting right now, but it will run on 1000 lumens.
Holy mackerel.
That's the high setting. Yeah, and that will
really bright, you guys.
that will really light up a room enough that you can read by. It has the largest rechargeable battery, so this is going to be very practical if you're out of power for, say, a few days. Now, if you need to run it longer, you can run it on the 400 lumen setting, which is what it's on right now, and that's bright enough to read by easily. It'll run 60 hours on that, or on the 400 lumen setting, which is the dimmest. I have to toggle off and then come back on, there is the 75 lumen setting. So it'll run for about 400 hours on that. So it's very practical light. And I think, like I say, it is one of the very best. It comes with a 2-year warranty as well. So this is a good bang for your buck.
We scoured Amazon, guys, looking at all of the LED lanterns, and we finally narrowed it down to this one, and we have been super duper happy with that purchase. Now, there are some other things we're going to discuss as far as light is concerned, and we actually put in an order to Amazon today for these things. When they get in, we'll let you know how we like them, and we'll kind of do a review for you. But for now, we'll just give you an overview of a couple of the other things that we actually just got ordered.
Yeah, the next thing that is, it becomes a kind of a recommended item from people who talk about emergency items, and that is a headlamp. A headlamp, you can get rechargeable headlamps, and these are great for, you lose power, you got to go around your house and maybe perform some necessary maintenance and some things you have to do. That will be right on your head, and your hands are free. That's the nicest thing about it. It does free up your hands, and it puts light right where you're looking. So, of course, a headlight is a very practical thing.
I can't believe, honestly, that we did not have one, because he's an avid bike rider and always used the headlamp on his bicycle. And I'm like, this is perfect for bike riding. Why do you not have one of these? So honestly, even if we weren't doing this series, we would have ordered one anyway, because I think that it's a really great idea for him to be able to look down the bike trail and see exactly where he's going based on where your head is looking. That's the area that you're going to be able to see.
And the one that we have linked is the one we put on order, and we did a little bit of research and discovered this is a well-made one. It goes quite a long time. I think it goes 4 hours on a charge, and it's very bright. It's got a lot of lumen output on it, so it's amazing how much light these LED devices have come up to now. They're just super, much better than what we had as kids.
A couple of other things we just ordered we want to share with you.
Well, we ordered it's this brand. It's how would you pronounce that, Hope?
I would call it Cato.
Okay.
Someone's going to tell me if I'm wrong, because you always know stuff that I don't know. I'm going to say Cato.
Yeah, so I've had this radio for about 12 years, but that's just a shortwave AM FM radio, and it is rechargeable. It takes 3 AA batteries, but they also make an emergency radio that has the hand crank. It has solar power, and you can charge it off of USB as well. Many different ways to charge it and keep it running, and that comes with a NOAA weather radio. A radio is important because your internet might be down, TV might be down. A lot of times radio stations have backup generators, and they'll be up and running. They'll give you emergency information, maybe where you can go to a FEMA site to get food and water. It'll have some information on there. Of course, you want to stay up with the weather. If it's a weather-related issue in the wintertime, you'll want to know when it's going to maybe warm up and thaw out. It also might tell you a little bit about when you can expect power to come back to your house. So, another thing is it's just kind of nice to maybe play some music off of it, just to kind of relax and enjoy a little bit. So I would highly recommend an emergency radio.
And we have loved using this one, and it's the same brand. The Cato brand is the same one we just ordered today, and we ordered on the strength of the fact that we have used this for probably, about 10 years, I bet we've had this. And, and he has used it an awful lot. So
yeah, it's a good quality radio. It's just a small speaker, so it's just a small transistor radio.
It's compact. It comes with a carrying case, and it's well made. So we'll let you know. And once again, so the items that we're explaining right now that we just ordered today, when they get in, we'll let y'all know, and we'll do a review and tell you what we think of them. Now, the last thing we want to add when it comes to adding light to your living space actually comes as a tip from our viewers.
How about that?
Several of you all said, and I thought this was such a great idea, if your electricity suddenly goes out, go out into your garden, and if you have any of those solar powered lights. Just grab them out of the ground, bring them in, and then you have enough light from those solar powered lights to be able to see where you're going and what you're doing and collect all the rest of your emergency supplies together. And I thought that was a fantastic idea.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
kudos to your guys. We love it when you give us your strategies and tips in the comments section, because so many of the times we'll go back and say, we just got to share that because that is such a fantastic idea.
And we used to have solar power lights, and I never would have thought of using them for that purpose. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Another good item to have is a portable battery bank. And the ones that they make today, they make some with solar chargers. And I just love the idea of the fact that you can keep these running as long as you have sunlight, not a cloudy day, but you have sunlight. If you have sunlight coming in a window, you can put that item in the window. Right. It will take several hours to charge because it's not a very big solar panel. And these banks are pretty big. So you don't expect it to just charge up in a couple of hours out in the sun. But it will keep it running if you need it to run that way. And that will allow you to charge your phones. Anything that uses a USB port can be charged off of those. So those are a really good item to have in case of a power outage. And this lantern, by the way, has a USB charge port on it. So you can use this as a battery bank to charge up your cell phone. That's another thing that'll do.
Now, a couple other things we wanted to mention also. A really great thing to have on hand, of course, is a first aid kit. Just a standard first aid kit where you got medication, you got stuff all in one space, all put together just in case something happens and somebody needs some first aid.
That's a good idea.
During the emergency. You're going to want something to do, guys, that does not involve electricity. so we like to keep, card games on hand. We like to play games.
Board games.
Actually, you know what? The truth is, I started to say we like to play games with our boys when we see them. But the truth is, they're better at them than we are. I think they like to play with us because we're like always losing. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, we're kind of easy prey there.
We're easy prey.
I gotta mention this, and I know nobody out there probably is going to have this in their home, but we do have hand cranked phonographs that we can play.
We do,
and we will get those out. One of the times we lost power last summer, and it turned out it was a very extensive power outage. I just grabbed my portable suitcase. It's a 78 RPM record player from 1940, took it out on the porch, cranked it up, and I just started playing records. And I said, I'm good. We don't have power. We're good. We can get by.
Anybody else have a Victrola? I would love to know. If you have a Victrola, you have to tell us in the comment section because we have 3 of them.
Yeah.
And our boys, when they were young, thought everybody had a Victrola in their living room. And I don't know. Our oldest son was like 8 when I finally said, you realize not everybody has a Victrola in their living room, right? He's like, really? Why? I'm like, well, okay, that's just a whole nother conversation, honey, but not everybody has them. So,
and let me mention one thing just to go back to lighting. I left this one off. The old-fashioned way of supplying light to your house, and this is what my mom and dad used when we were out of power. Mom and dad had one of their old farm kerosene lamps, and I have it. I have the old kerosene lamp that I grew up with as a kid, and they are a sure thing. They don't put out a lot of light. It's just a few candle powers of light, but it will, if you get a couple of them in the room, it'll light up the room, give it a nice warm glow. I don't really think I would recommend reading by them, but it will give you some light to see by if you have some of those on hand.
Yeah, we have several of them, and we do still, sometimes just for the ambiance, we will turn on the kerosene lights and sit in the room lit by kerosene lights.
But if you have kids, maybe even animals, I would highly recommend the safer LED method of lighting up your home.
So get yourself some games, some cards, some books, and, get ready to snuggle down until your power comes back on.
Do you remember books?
Yeah.
Do you remember books?
We did want to mention, as far as cooking is concerned, because this was actually one of the questions that came up from part 1, and a reminder that this is part 2 of a 2-part series on winter storm preparedness. We'll leave a link to that video up above and in the description of this video. But somebody said, how are you going to cook? Well, actually, we have an answer to that.
Well, there's different ways you can do that. If you're on all electric, and you've lost power and you don't have a generator, you're not going to be able to use your oven or your stove. They use way too much power. So what you can do is get a portable propane or butane stove, and they sell those on Amazon as well, or in Walmart probably sells them. I don't know who else sells them, but you can buy one of those, and that will give you at least one burner to work off of. You can boil water, make soups, cook on those. That would be my recommendation. Now, we don't own one, but we do have a double burner Coleman white gas stove, and that's just a camping stove.
Yeah.
And you cannot use those indoors. You can use propane and butane indoors safely. Once again, though, I would recommend a carbon monoxide detector to make sure that you're not building up carbon monoxide, but they are very safe to use inside. So that'd be a good way to do some cooking. We have a natural gas stove, an old stove from 1947, so we can use that. As long as there's natural gas being supplied, we can use that to do our cooking on.
You guys want to see it? We'll put some photos in of our 1947 gas stove. We love this thing, guys. It was in the house when we bought it.
I was going to say, it came with a house. Yeah.
And we use it every morning. We love it.
Oh, yeah.
We did want to address another question that was asked in the comment section of part 1 of this video series. And that question was, what do I do if I am in an apartment? Clearly, you're not going to get a gas-powered generator and get it near your apartment. So what can they do?
And I might say this was from Muse Rhythm. This was the question they asked.
Hey, Muse.
I would suggest that Mr. Heater, propane heater, or a kerosene heater that you could use inside if you need heat. Once again, the tent, the sleeping bags, any of those options. The portable stove, if you can get one of those, that would be good for cooking. I would certainly go with any of those options. You'd have to talk it over with your landlord and see kind of what they would allow, though. They may not allow some of those things in some apartments.
Yeah, so our advice is to go through both of the videos in this 2-part series. Make yourself a list and ask the landlord, I'm doing some preparedness for winter storms, and I would like to know which of these would be appropriate to use in the apartment, and which are you telling me you probably would prefer I did not use in the apartment complex.
Right.
But I mean, we gave so many ideas, guys, and that's why we try to, it's very much against our nature, seriously, to put down hard, fast, firm, like rules for other people's lives and say, you need to do it this way. And that's one of the reasons that we specifically tailor these videos. So we give you lots of ideas and lots of options, and you take the ones that work for your situation, and the ones that don't work for you, just leave them to the side and then maybe come back and revisit them later if your situation happens to change.
I'd like to mention one more option that we didn't talk about on the first video. Now, I put together that little portable electricity supply unit. So I have the battery and the inverter. It does seem a little complicated maybe for some people to try to assemble something like that. And I might just put a plug in here for an item. Now, we don't own one, but I've done a lot of research into this product, and it's called a Jackery, and it's a portable electrical supply unit. It's a kind of a plastic box about so big. You can buy different sizes of these depending on what your needs are. I would look very seriously into the Jackery Explorer 1000. That supplies 1,000 watts. That is a very nice unit. They are expensive. They cost about $1,000, but they're well made, well engineered. They back them up. They back up their product. From what I've been finding out, that they are probably the #1 type of product, and that would be a much simpler setup than what I'd pieced together. So that would be my recommendation for some portable power.
We will leave a link in the video description for the Jackery, and you can go and you can check that out. If you have one, several of you made the comment, and that was why we started to look into the Jackery, was the fact that several of you said, here's what I have, and I absolutely love it. So thanks so much for those of you who are leaving such incredibly helpful suggestions in the comments section, and we would encourage you to continue to do that. We'd love to hear from you if there are things that we did not cover that you really use and have found to be helpful in preparing for winter storms and possible power outages. Hey, if you didn't watch part 1, it's right over there, guys. That's the next video that you should watch. And it has been so much fun for us to do this video powered completely by our battery backup system. Everything from the camera to the lights to the microphone. Yes, we have done it using our emergency preparedness backup system to show you that it works.
It does.